Security analyst Dr. Adam Bona has asked security agencies in Ghana to step up surveillance measures in mitigating any possible infiltration of suspected criminals following a reported case of jailbreak in Nigeria. At least 600 inmates are reported to have escaped in a jailbreak in Nigeria's capital city, blaming the attack on Islamic extremist rebels. About 300 people have been recaptured according to authorities. There are, however, concerns that there may be a security implication for nearby countries, including Ghana. Adam Bona says antecedents of such incidents where some suspects are recaptured in Ghana indicate that the country is at risk if it does not tighten security measures at the border. He's suggesting a collaboration with Nigerian security authorities to take record of movement into the country. He spoke earlier on JoyNews desk.
Some of us started talking about it, that there was the need for us to tighten security here. Fortunately for us, fast forward, it looks like some of them ended up actually in our territory. With what the police, working with the police, with what I know, I think some of them might have ended up in our territory. And probably, fortunately for us, the new police administration managed to either capture some of them and then kill some of them too. And the rest of them have had to flee. And they are in pursuit of some of them. If you look at, the patterns of crime and the nature, the way they, orchestrated. You know, the Ghanaian, the pattern, what we know, and then what usually happens in Nigeria, there are a lot of differences or differentials. And so the moment you begin to record some levels of crime and a certain pattern, then you know that it looks like these people would have been here. And so we need to be on high alert. We need to watch out there, and probably our state authorities would have to double up their efforts. I think what they need to be focusing on at this critical moment, I'm sure, is to be looking around the border areas, looking at areas where you have a lot of, our neighbors from Nigeria are staying. We have a lot of them staying around the central region in terms of, Kaswa and its environs. So we know where they stay. What I have also recommended in the past is to get our security or our state agencies responsible for making sure we are safe, to start working in collaboration with the leadership of the Nigerian community in this country. The state has not empowered them enough. And so you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry who is a Nigerian just walks into the country, and probably the state doesn't know the person is here. Their community leaders are not also aware they are here. So some of us have recommended that if you have the Igbo community, they have a whole chief, a big king or so who is in Ghana. You take the Yoruba, they have various, leaders. So the state should start working with them, empowering them, so that if you have such a jailbreak and you came in, because you are supposed to register your presence with your leaders, it will be easy for them the leaders to liaise also with their communities in Nigeria to know this guy who has come. These are his details, because you see,
Adam Bona there. The Ministry of Education says it has concluded talks with leadership of CHAS over challenges of supply of food to some senior high schools. Food shortage has hit senior high schools across the country, with the Upper West Regional Chapter of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools warning that students and parents may soon be compelled to take up the cost of feeding if government fails to provide supplies in 6 days. In a letter to the Regional Director of the Ghana Education Service, CHAS noted the food suppliers contacted by the Buffer Stock Company as well as local suppliers contacted to help out are all refusing to do so, citing non-payment of outstanding monies owed them by the government. Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee in Parliament, Dr. Clement Apak, says this is unacceptable.
I don't believe that we should still owe buffer stock to the extent that buffer stock suppliers have refused to supply food to schools. And look, the reports we are getting is that this situation is not confined to secondary schools only in the Upper West region. It is across board. And I think the sooner government agrees to this clarion call for a review so that we can resituate the program and look at what has worked and what has not worked to adjust it, the better for us. Look, if you were to look at the PIAC, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee's monitoring report, 2018-2019, of the Free Senior High School policy, all of these issues that we are discussing have been captured. One, this decision to centralize the food supply chain, where contracts are given from Accra to persons who sometimes don't even know the location of the schools to supply the schools, has created a conduit for high-level corruption. So it is not just the lack of availability of funds for buffer stock suppliers, but even when the funds are there, they either undersupply the food items, as has been indicated, they supply unwholesome or expired food items, or sometimes they increase the weight of grains by deliberately adding impurities. We have seen the pictures, we have seen the videos. So the current system is just not fit for purpose of the bat. So it is not just about lack of funding, but it's the undersupply where the headmasters have no say, and it is also the addition of impurities to increase the weight where the headmasters have no say. So the best option going forward would be to review the program. As a member of the Public Accounts Committee, we have sat on reports of pre-tertiary institutions, secondary schools, and it is bad. We are even looking at a situation where we want to activate processes to get just the buffer stock food supply system as it pertains to the secondary schools audited, because something is just not adding up in the whole narrative around the food supply system within the context of the way it is being run. So we wait to see how soon government is going to make resources available.
Listen to Executive Director of Education Watch, Kofi Asare, who has also been expressing frustration at the situation.
Even though I'm not in support of the centralization of the procurement of food, but they have designed a beautiful system that should work if funded. Unfortunately, that system needs an average of about 100 million Ghana cedis every month to ensure that suppliers who have been contracted under the system and invoice supply food are able to do so. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Finance is just not disbursing in accordance with the cash flow projections that the Ministry of Education has submitted to it. If you remember in May, the Honorable Minister indicated on the back of the 200 million disbursements, out of which about half went to feeding, or other, all the 200 wasn't for feeding. Some went into textbooks and other stuff, but about 100 went into feeding. On the back of that particular release, the minister indicated that the Ministry of Education have actually found a solution to the problem. And that the problem was that there was no realistic projections, okay, for the Ministry of Finance to continue. So I was very happy when I heard that, even though I was surprised that there wouldn't be a financial projections. I mean, I was surprised that for 4 years, Free Senior High School Secretariat and the Ministry of Education did not have a realistic financial projection. But I wanted to believe that was perhaps a challenge that the.
In a tweet this morning, Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Kwesi Kwarteng, indicated the full supplies will be available by July 12. He has been explaining further on the AM show.
There has been reports of food shortages and potential food shortages in most of the schools. I mean, if you read the press that was issued by Upper West Chapter, clearly they cited a potential food shortage. And based on that, the Minister for Education has to act and intervene. And as I speak with you, arrangements have been far advanced for suppliers to supply food, to avoid a potential food shortage within the region and some schools that may have similar challenges. So yes, we do admit there could be challenges. Sometimes it may not necessarily be even delays in payment. A lot of time you may have some logistical constraints like storage facilities being out of the food. But like yes, we do admit that it has more to do with the delays of the payment and the suppliers not having the power or the capacity to be able to supply against the future. But this is being worked on. But as of now, those schools that gave a caution of potential shortages, we are addressing them latest by TV. We should see schools in those schools. I mean, I've always insisted that our mandate is to embrace challenges and solve it. We are not there because there will not be any challenges. So I recall, I think it was just last Wednesday, where the Minister for Education met with school suppliers in Ghana. And then we admitted that, yes, when it comes to payment, there has been some delays. But the parties agreed that due to the urgency of the moment, they will continue to supply ahead of an arrangement that the minister had made to make sure that as soon as possible, their payments are being made so that they will have the capacity and the market. The challenge we have is that there's been delays in payments. Is it
that there's no money? Is it that there's no money?
I don't work with the Ministry of Finance.
General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association, David Tenkranchum, says the remuneration due workers who contributed immensely to the fight against COVID-19 were not paid. He says the additional 50% allowances on the basic salaries per month for a 4-month period starting March 2020 and other insurance benefits the government promised have not been paid. Speaking on the probe last night, he stressed that even the 50% basic salary that was supposed to be advanced to those who took care of COVID-19 patients, most of them health workers, did not get it.
I'm happy you have raised this. We have myriad of challenges. It was never paid.
It was never paid?
Majority of the people didn't get it. I know several people that nurses and doctors who died and their relatives never got the insurance. Okay, and even those who fell sick, because you see, don't forget that the insurance was in stages. I mean, those who were severely ill, who ended up at ICU, and those who died. I'm telling you that majority of nurses and midwives never received it. Even the 50% basic salary that was supposed to be advanced to those who were taking care of our COVID patients, most of them didn't get it. Okay, so you see, we are challenged with a lot of things. And if things continue this way, okay, it will not augur well for that is why people are leaving. Let me fact, several nurses and midwives are leaving this country. And it's even the more reason why it is imperative for government to even look at the condition of service for nurses and midwives. Apart from this cola business that we are talking about, nurses and midwives are leaving. When the pandemic broke out, several people in United Kingdom who were nurses decided to even resign from the NHS. And because of Brexit, some nurses also have left the UK to other jurisdictions.
The association has since added its voice to the labor unions demanding for cost of living allowance. Meanwhile, the Ghana Medical Association, like other members of the organized labor, doctors and health workers, have equally been hit by the current economic hardship. Highlighting the plight of doctors, Dr. Bayo says doctors are struggling, buying from the same market, buying the same fuel without fuel coupons from government, adding doctors have parked their cars and are now getting on board trotro because they can no longer afford fuel.
Before I tell you what the cost of living to our members is, as a union leader, let me help my colleague a little just by explaining what the COLA is. And I should put it on record that the GMA have also made that demand for the COLA. We are part of a bigger group called the Forum, and the Forum has requested for COLA.
Are you also asking for 20% or more than 20%?
All of us are singing the same song. And we had wished that government would have started with us much earlier to negotiate and discuss this. But if you look at the technical definition of a cost of living allowance, it's not a normal salary. It's a salary or an allowance given to a worker because of some special situations. It could either be that the worker lives in a particular area where the cost of living there is higher than normal across the country, or there is a situation within the country that has made the worker's salary worse off. So it's usually a temporary allowance. It's not expected to be a permanent feature on our pay slips, but it's to cushion us for the period that we find ourselves in. And the history in this country has demonstrated that successive past government, where we've had very serious difficulties, have given this cost of living to labor unions or the labor workforce to help us survive. Okay. When we went for the IMF in the very last one before this, there was a cost of living allowance. And it was just a recognition that when your economy goes so bad, the person on salary, people even struggle to get transportation to work because your salary can no longer take you to work and back. There are people who have parked their vehicles, are using commercial vehicles, and even then it's very difficult. So this is just to cushion us for that period. So government should have met with us much earlier.
Labour consultant Austin Game is, however, advising government to negotiate with striking teachers and other workers to look for alternatives that will satisfy all parties and not create problems for the country. He spoke earlier on the AM show.
We've gotten to a junction that we have to be very careful as a people and as a nation. The past, anything good in the past, let's bring it up here now. Anything that is of no help, let's leave it there. In the past, when we had a similar situation, but not this gargantuan level of inflation and related matters, the employer, government then, quickly organized a national and comprehensive national dialogue at home, and almost all the unions were present, and other players were all present. I was there myself. We had a very open-ended type of conversation based on our labor law, because the law enjoins the employer to have an open dialogue with his own workers when you have matters of this nature. To the extent that it also opens that if you have a situation like this, go carry the economic situation and the welfare of the people under section, I believe, 113 subsection C. The importance of it should be openly discussed, and you arrive at a decision that will satisfy both of you. This is a lot more heavier a burden than that of 2015. Yet that was what they did. So it's getting a little too late, but I'm happy they're opening up for a dialogue maybe on Tuesday, just tomorrow. I wonder the format, but now that the Labour Commission has been maybe put in place, they may offer some help, because I know my friends who are there have the level of capacity to be able to guide the conversation. If they can do that well, fine. Otherwise, we are heading for some trouble.
Some residents of Fumbisi in the Busa South District of the Upper East region have embarked on a demonstration to draw government's attention to the bad nature of the Chuchiliga-Sandema Fumbisi Road. Although the road is currently under construction, the residents are unhappy about the slow pace of work and complain that certain portions of the road have become a death trap. Here is the report by correspondent Albert Sori.
Dozens of residents on the streets of Fumbisi marching to protest the delay in the completion of construction of the road linking Chuchuluga and Sandema in the Busa North to Fumbisi in the Busa South District. The residents raised placards with various inscriptions to register their grievances about the road to the government. Some of them spoke to JoyNews.
The youth of the Bulk are interested to farm, but the road is causing us a lot of harm. Whether you are a religious leader, whether you are a farmer, whether you are a teacher, you are a nurse, all of us, life is in danger. So our plea is that we want Mr. President to fix our roads now. We will buy a car car in less than 1 year, the car will go condemned. All because of the road. We buy tires, the tires within 1 week, 2 weeks, the tire will go condemned. So please, they should just help us and fix the road for us.
Personally, you can see that I am deformed. I had an accident there. There were chippies kept just within the road. So I was coming. Finally, I have to bump into the chippies and I had an accident. They have to carry me to hospital. In fact,
last year as at this time, the town was submerged with water everywhere. People lost their properties and homes. You created drains, and why are you not creating roadways for the water to move? Then the water comes and it feeds back to the houses.
The demonstrators were led by the presiding member of the Busa South District Assembly, John Apabe, to submit a petition to the District Chief Executive for onward submission to the President.
We, the citizens of Bulu, do humbly petition your high office as follows. That the Chichuluga Sandema Wiaga Bedema from BC Road is still in a bad state since awarding it to my 10th construction company in 2016 and was supposed to have been completed in 2019. The state of the road affects food production in the two districts, as we have been noted to be the basket of food for Ghana, as we are champion as rice producers in Ghana here. Essential service providers such as medical doctors, nurses, teachers and other professionals constantly refuse voting to the municipal and district assemblies of Busa North and South respectively due to the bad nature of the road. The delay in fixing the road has caused low patronage in the Fumbisi and Sandema markets due to the lack of interest of drivers to ply their commercial vehicles on this road. Do we not deserve good roads as Busas?
We do. Better roads.
Are Busas not Ghanaians?
We are Ghanaians. We vote.
Are we not part of citizens you swore an oath to protect their lives and properties?
We are. Yeah.
Receiving the petition, Busa South District Chief Executive Daniel Garba explained the cause of the delay in the construction of the road.
The road was commissioned or sod was cut in the year 2016 by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Last week Monday we had a meeting at Sandema in which the contractor was present, and he was very clear. He said the sod that John Mahama cut was for the construction of the road from Nabrongo, Chuchuluga, Nako. And that this stretch that we are talking of was given to him in the year 2020. The work is being done, and I can guarantee that this work will be done to satisfy all of us.
He promised to forward the petition from the aggrieved Fumbisi residents to President Nana Akufo-Addo. Meanwhile, JoyNews checks on the Chuchuluga Sandema Fumbisi Road showed that some portions had been tarred while others had been recently bulldozed to make them more trouble. Construction equipment belonging to the construction firm My 10, earlier mentioned by the District Chief Executive, were also seen working on some portions of the road. There were also some other portions of the road, especially between Wiaga and Fumbisi, which were still in bad shape. The residents want government to do whatever is necessary to speed up the construction of the road. For JoyNews, Albert Sorry, Fumbisi.
The chiefs and people of Sampa in the German North District of the Bono region have appealed to stakeholders, especially the Asante Olumfuo Osei Tutu II, to ensure truth prevails in the SAMPA Chieftaincy Dispute. The Abakuma Hene of Sampa, Nana Kwame Lofie II, says the litigation against the chief of the area, Nanaya Samodia II, by the Akwemu family is raising tension and affecting peace and development of that area. He appealed after a street protest in Sampa. Precious Semevo has more.
Sampa, a leading cashew growing area in the German North District of the Bono region, remains underdeveloped, and it has been mainly attributed to the chieftaincy litigations with no united front to pursue a common development interest. The Abakumahene of SAMPA, Nana Kwame Lofie II, explained at a press briefing after a street protest in SAMPA that in their history, chiefs are selected from Nana Yao Samo Dua and Nana Kofi Sono descendant. He alleged that the Akwamu family had been laying claim to the stool for over 2 decades after losing at the Sunyani High Court. The Abakumahene insists Nana Yao Samo Dua II is the legitimate chief of SAMPA, hence appeals to the Asantehene Olumfuo Osei Tutu II to ensure the truth stands. Ibrahim Semo speaks for the royal family.
The whole chieftaincy issue started in 2000 when my grandmother passed on. The Akwamu family of SAMPA went to court that they are also partakers of the SAMPA stool. At a point in time, the court dismissed the case, and so those in charge had the opportunity to install a chief as our customs and tradition demands. So he was installed in 2015. But these people who are litigating against the chief went and revived the issue. When the case went to Asantehene, the Asantehene forwarded the case to a 4-member committee. What went on at the committee level was not what they told Asantehene. So we are pleading with Asantehene to do the right thing so that we can have peace in SAMPA.
He expressed worry about how the chieftaincy issues have retarded the peace and development of the area.
Since it started, in fact, it has affected our development so much in so many directions. Our roads are not good. The kind of schools we want, we can't call government appointees to account for what they have taken from our district. So I think that the chief we have who can call them to order, and here's the case, he is being litigated against. So he is not able to perform his functions as he's supposed to. And I hope that Nana Yao Samo Dua, even though he's young and a student and has no money, he is the rightful chief. And so he should be given the opportunity to rule as a chief in peace. The people of SAMPA are yearning for peace and development.
Some residents also expressed the impact of the situation on their lives.
SAMPA is number 1 cashew producer.
SAMPA is the number 1 producer of cashew in Ghana with lots of revenue, but we hardly benefit from it. It is our chief who should lead us to demand our share of development, hence our appeal. The chieftaincy tension in the area continues to scare the women and children with an impact on our businesses and livelihood. We appeal to Asantehene to intervene for the chief to reign in peace. Precious Semevo, JoyNews, SAMPA.
And on our election headquarters this week, we continue our build-up to the NPP National Delegates Conference that will elect national officers with a focus on the General Secretary race. One man is seeking to purge the party of all old executives, but will come up against a formidable field of contestants, some of them recycled from existing executives. Former Mayor of Tamale and Deputy Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Musa Superior, is our focus today. Samuel Mbura has more.
And if we want to deliver this mantra, breaking the ink in 2024, I think that we should do a lot of soul searching and revert back and do a lot of work so that we can get our party administratively correct and politically huge.
Musa Superior is one of the few NPP stalwarts from the northern region to attempt to lead the party at the national level. He has built some influence as the immediate past mayor for Tamale. His campaign is dubbed the People's Campaign. His is an ambition to purge the party of the old leadership. He accuses them of lacking purpose and foresight.
One of our key objectives is to try and advocate for some brand new type of leadership. Because, we can see the lack of purpose and the lack of foresight in the current leadership. And that is why today the NPP is struggling.
The current Deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission has a 10 agenda focused on a so-called bottom-up approach. He also promises to empower party communicators.
We are telling the people that every communications officer should have a computer and an internet so that they can communicate. Well, you have to do proper research to communicate. Any form of communication is street-like. It's not going to help the party.
Mr. Superior claims to have a superior plan to appropriately recognize the contributions of those who toiled for the party. He has promised to institute a reward scheme to serve as motivation. Delegates will cast their ballots this Saturday live on the election headquarters. Musa Superior is number 2 on the ballot paper for the slot of the General Secretary and has this direct message for delegates.
If you allow yourself to be bought, you will not have any moral right to want to regret over the failure of people who have bought.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Technical advisor of the Ghana Tourism Development Project, Professor Gabriel Ishen, has urged businesses in the tourism sector to take advantage of the available grants and apply. He says the grants are to help sustain the operations of businesses in the sector. Professor Ishen was speaking at a training workshop for industry players in Tamale. Here's more.
The training brought together hoteliers, restaurant owners, among other stakeholders in the tourism industry. It was to educate them on the opportunities available to them and how they can apply. Mr. Eshen said the training was to get all the stakeholders involved in the process.
As part of trying to sustain the tourism enterprises in the country, we have the grant component that is seeking to look at the non-publicly side in the country and also looking at the SMEs, especially in the landscape of tourism, hospitality, art and culture. And that is what it is about. This is the phase 3 that we are doing. For the phase 1, we had it in 2020, and the 2021 we had one as well. And of course, we are continuing in 2022. The great thing with this phase 3 is that we are making sure that the tourism value chain, a lot of the stakeholders are being involved in this. And that is why the COVID-19 relief grant is really part of this, because we are all aware of the fact that tourism, hospitality, art and culture was really hit hard during the pandemic.
He said the ministry has taken note of previous lapses in the disbursement and have addressed those concerns.
It will be quite an unfortunate situation when you've been told that your application is approved and then the disbursement will not follow. On record, from the Honorable Minister, Dr. Awao, it is our joy to make sure that we disburse the money. The more we disburse, the more successful we are. But the disbursement, as I said, is for the PDO trying to achieve the high performance at targeted destinations in the country. So if there were issues like that in the previous one, like I hinted in there during the program, that the workshop, that now MOTAC is superintending over this disbursement, and some of the earlier hiccups that we have, we are really going to address them in this, in making sure that we have a more smoother, way of getting things done with this.
Now, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana is calling on players in the various sectors of the economy to deepen relationship with existing customers to drive better experiences and create a positive impact on the economy. According to its president, Dr. Daniel Kasati, enhancing customer service strategy and consistency in delivery is key to the growth of businesses. He spoke to Joy Business at the publication of the first Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana Customer Satisfaction Report on the banking sector for 2021 and the commissioning of the 2022 research projects.
The first Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana Customer Satisfaction Index report focused on the banking industry, as 2,300 customers were sampled from 23 banks with 100 people from each bank. Only 11 banks were 5-star rated in the first Customer Satisfaction Index for the banking sector. President of the Institute, Dr. Daniel Kasati, explained the reason why the banking industry was chosen for the first survey, saying it is one of the best regulated sectors.
This document that we have outdoors today will equip every service provider to know that these are the areas that I should be putting emphasis on because these are the areas customers respect. Until this report came out, most industry wouldn't know, most organizations would not know what goes into service quality. Now it is clear that the dimensions of service quality are 5. There are individual scale items under each of them, numbering all 22 areas. So in the 22 areas, we have to strengthen our delivery to be able to perform in such a way that at the end of the day will be classified as a 5-star bank. So if you watch the report, you will notice that banks today are ranked 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, up to 5-star. There should be every motivation for any bank operating in Ghana, and for that matter, every product or service firm or organization to be able to use this as a benchmark and to improve their service quality delivery levels in order to become 5-star banks.
He, however, indicated that the institute will focus on other sectors, including the insurance sector, private healthcare, hotels, and business schools, and EARTH 2022 research project.
Service quality dimensions are universal everywhere globally. The differences are not much. So as we move from one industry to another, the tweaking is just very little. At the end of the day, when you put them together, the net effect is about the same. Is that all right? When we veer into the fast-moving consumer services area, the scale will again be tweaked to suit them. But at the end of the day, when all is put together, apart from ranking players within an industry, say banking, we should be also able to sit down in Ghana and compare service quality in banking compared to, say, in hospitality, say in manufacturing. You know, so say manufacturing, their scale is X%. In banking, their scale is this %. When we put all together, we'll establish what is called the Ghana Customer Satisfaction Index.
A customer satisfaction index report is a versatile analytical tool for measuring customer satisfaction with a product, service, or company. It offers help in finding reasons of customer satisfaction, or rather dissatisfaction.
And that's business. More coming up on the marketplace ahead. Sports, stay tuned.
Welcome back to JoyNews today. Let's have some sports now. Head coach of the national amateur boxing team, Olumfuo Osei, is confident Ghana will excel at this year's Commonwealth Games. 9 boxers, including female Dr. Onela Southhound, will represent Ghana in Birmingham in July. Coach Olumfuo Osei, who guided Samuel Techi to win bronze in Tokyo, expects the Black Bombers to live up to expectations.
We have boundless let me say talent, and we are not a pushover when it comes to the Commonwealth Games. We always go there and at least come home with some medal. This time I see a new team, young team, that because of the coming 2023 African Games that we are hosting, we want to have more of these young boxers there to be able to, because we don't want the situation where after the Commonwealth Games, all of them will be going to professional, which there's nothing you can do, because the 2023 Games is also very, very, very closer. So to me, as a coach, we have a young team which has a big future, and they are showing a whole lot of prospect, and I'm seeing that we will do better than the past Commonwealth. That means the just recent Commonwealth that we had only bronze. I'm believing that we can change the color of the medal, and also maybe add some addition into it. So if, as I'm seeing, it will go on, and the Federation will continue supporting us, they are supporting, and maybe corporate bodies also kick in, the government support is also coming, and all those things are on board, and things go on well and they develop the good feeling for the Commonwealth Games, then something can happen.
Time now for showbiz, and coming up in showbiz this afternoon, Stephanie Benson's husband gives updates on singer after routine surgery went wrong. And Burna Boy fans excited by new personal album. You can get more of this on myjoyonline.com. You can also get more of the news on myjoyonline.com. That's how we wrap up news today. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.